Welcome to Cinematographer, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemaphilepod.com. In the heart of the Amazon rainforest, the indigenous forest guardians stand at the front lines of the fight to protect their ancestral lands from relentless invasions and deforestation. As more and more people illegally invade their lands each year, devastating centuries-old forests for resources and fast profits, these small groups of guardians risk everything to protect their forest and their way of life. This documentary film is called We Are Guardians. It's a powerful, intimate, and informative documentary. We're joined today by two of the three co-directors, Chelsea Greene and Rob Grobman. The co-director who was unable to join us today is Edivan Guajajara. To Chelsea Greene and Rob Grobman, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
You're very welcome. It is a powerful documentary film for a lot of reasons. And as I mentioned to you before we got started, it seems that we've been having this conversation about the health of the Amazon rainforest for a long, long time. And it's distressing to see what I see in the film, but also encouraging. I want to make sure people understand there's reason to be hopeful. But boy, it's frustrating to see these things happening. Let's start with how you got involved. Chelsea, how did this come to you?
Well, you say that the Amazon has been destroyed. We've been hearing about it for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I, of course, have been watching environmental films since I was a kid, and that was what inspired me to be a filmmaker. I was like, can't believe we'd be destroying the planet like that. And so, the roots to the intention to make this film go back to then, but also after I went to film school, I was working on a documentary in Borneo, learning about the importance of tropical forests for our global climate. And just how important they are. It's astounding, really. They're such a huge circulator of moisture and cooler of the atmosphere, and all these important things. Of course, biodiversity. And for the climate fight, I mean, the Amazon rainforest holds like 10 years of global fossil fuel emissions, and to burn it up is just insane. And so I felt the injustice of it, that a select handful of people would be really behind the destruction of our future so rapidly and for not even a great reason. So that's why I really got into working on this film. And also, the Brazilian Amazon, Brazil was a leader in reducing tropical deforestation. Between 2004 and 2014 or 15 or so, they were able to reduce deforestation by 80%. And so when I was in Borneo looking at how the Indonesian government was handling things, everyone was saying, oh, wow, Brazil is a leader in this. And so then in 2019, when Jair Bolsonaro came into office and started telling people to burn down the Amazon and just allowing all the companies that were corrupting the politicians to run rampant, it was like, oh, I can't believe they had made such, you can't take away all of the progress. It's so depressing, and in a climate crisis when we're actually at a critical tipping point for our entire planet. So that's why I had to go and drop everything and fly to Brazil and try to figure out what was going on.
Rob?
I was here in my home state of Oregon in 2019 and saw the international news about the fires in the Amazon and was just like, what the heck is going on? I mean, we have forest fires and wildfires here in Oregon nearly every summer now. There's forest fires and wildfires happening all over the world. And in a time where we're having these unprecedented climate events and these wildfires. How can we purposefully be burning the Amazon for short-term profit? And so I just felt a deep calling right then to do something and to be a part of being a messenger of what was going on, especially for the people there in the Amazon, and wondering what is going on for them. What is their story, and beyond just the indigenous people, which are core to the story, but also what's going on for the farmers and the loggers and those that are there that sometimes get labeled as the perpetrators of these actions, and a bit of, maybe get the label of enemy or the bad guy.
In regards to your co-director in the film, Edivan Guajajara, where did he fit in? Was he already there documenting what was going on? How did he play into all of this?
Yeah, Edivan has been this incredible photographer, filmmaker, and co-founder of this group, Mídia Indígena,
Hmm.
which was one of the foremost indigenous media collectives in the world. They've done an amazing thing of connecting villages, beginning in Brazil, connecting villages with information and news that was happening with the rest of the world. And that spread, I mean, by the time that we were down there in the end of 2019, 2020, we were getting a lot of information through them and through their network, understanding more about the situation. So when we actually kind of by happenstance met Edgivon, it was a little bit like, oh man, these are the Media Indigena guys. These guys are rock stars in this. So we were a little starstruck in that way when we first met him, and it was cool though. It was an immediate friendship that we formed with him, and he quickly joined our team to help on our project. And we realized very shortly that we really needed his leadership in this project. We really needed him to be sitting side by side with us and telling the story of his people and telling the story of the Amazon. So we were super grateful to have his inclusion and his participation in this because it's just totally been elevated by his vision.
Over the course of making We Are Guardians, you managed to gain access to all of the different players, if you will, the people who were illegally logging, cutting down the trees, the poachers, the guardians themselves. You seem to have really pulled in all of the different elements in the telling of the story. How did you go about gaining access and trust among a wide range of people who have very different interests, very different goals? Chelsea, how did that come about?
With Valgier, the main character who's the illegal logger, of course, we were very nervous going into the middle of the indigenous territory, knowing that there were groups of armed loggers roving about, not wanting to get caught doing their illegal activities, which is a federal crime. And we went in there actually with a liaison who was from the indigenous community of that area who was in cahoots with the illegal loggers. We have to remain, keep their identity protected. And we just went out and he actually started getting nervous and we were like, oh God, this is intense. He wanted to turn around. We're like, no, let's just keep going a little bit further. It was getting dark. We had driven like 2 days out into the middle of the jungle on these crazy logging roads. And we came around the corner and there was Valgier working with his partner and a machine. And we got out of the car and just asked him nicely, can we film a short interview with you? We're just interested in what you're doing. And we were always really upfront with him. We never tried to say, give any stories that weren't true. We were just authentically wanting to hear his perspective. And he was wanting to give it. And he was just waiting for the opportunity to share it. And of course, it was a process of befriending him so that he felt more comfortable. At first, it was a little stiff, but he invited us back to his camp and we ended up camping out with him for a few days and swimming in the river and having a good time. And so that was the process. It was easy with Algier. They took such good care of us. It was such a
Yeah.
great experience spending time with them.
Well, Rob, is that a function of the feeling of impunity that a lot of the people who are involved in, I'll call it stripping the rainforest of its resources? Is there a sense that, and we hear it in the film, that they feel that, there's political and business interest in big political and business interests who are fostering this, who are encouraging this, who are underwriting it. Is that part of the reason why there was some comfort level with you filming what is apparently illegal for them to be doing?
Well, I think on a certain level there is a sense of impunity around what's happening in the Amazon. I don't believe though that that's really what Valgier feels. I really he feels
Right.
consistently and constantly chastised and hunted really by the federal government and by the different governmental agencies for what he's doing. They were definitely on watch all the time. I think Valgier really feels desperate to let people know where he's at and what's going on for him. I don't think that anyone had asked him ever, what is going on for you and what is your life like at this level? And although he has some cognitive dissonance around what he's doing, I would say that he really he wants to do something better. I know that deep down that like he really w hopes and wishes that he could do something better. And I think in the end, the film, he mentions how important education is in that, which he never received. I mean, he started working as a logger around 9 years old and was given a chainsaw and was out working with a group when he was a teenager. So he's never really known anything different. I think it's a struggle. These guys are struggling to put food on the table for their families and wanting to see a better life. I mean, wanting to give their children an opportunity perhaps to have higher education that would get them out of this system. So it's quite complicated, and I think Valjeer's presence in it in the film and his desire to share much more came from a sense of urgency of I really want people to know what it really is like for us, and that we're not so bad as people put, that kind of label on us. And I believe that too. Valjeer took amazing care of us out there. He was a great, great, guy underneath that tough exterior.
Right.
Yeah, and also he is no longer working in that territory. After the Lula government came in, they sent a team, multiple teams of military police to kick out all the loggers, and he escaped in time. So he's not working as a illegal logger anymore. He's got some health issues. But on the topic of the other, there were groups of other illegal loggers working in the territory too, and his greater team, we were with his small group, and they all kind of expressed similar things about being trapped in that situation. And his boss showed up, and then we felt threatened, and kind of word kind of came out that we were filming what they were doing, and we started getting death threats and had to flee the area and hide out for a while. And so, yeah, it wasn't that they felt completely with impunity. We definitely were
Yeah.
invited in with trust to that small group. And then when the word got out, we were not, we were threatened with our lives to not come back.
Wow. I mean, that's something to be doing what you're doing and then suddenly feel like your life may be in danger. And it's got to send a chill right through you. But the other part of this isn't, and this is the part of the We Are Guardians that I think is so important for people to understand. And that is, and we're going to get to the Guardians themselves as well, but this is the tension in a country that is under the thrall of at the time that this was taking place, of a kleptocrat, of a man who was more interested in enriching himself than helping the country, and that would be Bolsonaro, who was fortunately voted out of office, and the return of Lula. But but the other part of it is this is a tension all over the world in countries that are resource rich and democracy speaking poor, that they don't have the kind of power and influence to be able to affect public policy, and they're left at essentially the mercy of powerful business interests. So I can't blame them for wanting to make a living, for wanting to provide food and shelter for their family, and that is not just here, but it's around the world. Rob, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, exactly. Valjeer kind of says it best. He says in the film, money moves mountains.
Yeah,
And when
yeah,
you're talking about these giant corporations, that are moving millions upon billions of dollars, this is where the core of the problem lies. And this is why we're seeing the devastation of the Amazon and many other of our treasured biomes around the world. And it puts money for sure on the tables of people like Valjeer, but it really, it's lining the bank accounts of politicians, of corporate leaders in a whole other way, and that's really what steers this ship, I would say.
yeah.
And
And
that's
there
unfortunate.
wouldn't they would this wouldn't be happening if there weren't a market for this wood, for this material, right?
Oh,
It really does.
absolutely.
It's in the hands of the first world or whoever is somebody's buying this stuff. Somebody is okay with this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this wood, ipe is one of the main trees that is hunted and sought in the Amazon. We didn't see one of them while we were down there because they're all gone in the areas where we were with the loggers. And these are, this is Brazilian hardwood that's used for decking, that's used, it's incredibly rot resistant, so it's great for purposes of having this long lasting deck or this long lasting roof, but it's really we have to know, and educate ourselves about where this wood is coming from and the impacts that it has in seeking this type of wood. It's just not just the wood. I mean, it's in the beef and the soy. 80% of the forest is cut for cattle, and we're talking about the lowest productivity cattle fields in the world. That just this again like does not make sense on an economic level even.
I, before we go any further, I just want to point out that we're talking about the film We Are Guardians, and it is going to begin its run. Oh no, it's going to begin its run. Beginning, what I'm looking at is on June 5th in Encinitas, California, and also here in Los Angeles on June 6th, and moving out from there forward. And it looks like you're going to be around the Los Angeles area for some Q&As during its LA release. So let's talk just a little bit so people know they can come down. I assume these are Laemmle theaters you're going to be at because they almost always are for all the good films. Where are you going to you're going to be at? Go ahead on for the premiere on the 6th in Los Angeles. Where are you guys going to be?
We'll be at the Laemmle Santa Monica Film Center, and we're really
Yay!
excited because starting June 5th in Encinitas and going through the California dates, we'll have Puyer Tembe with us and Edivan Guajajara, and also our Brazilian impact producer who's been help managing the projects on the ground in the territory since the film has come out. So it'll be the five of us touring to talk about the film, and we're really
Oh,
excited to see you all there. And if since your audience may be in LA, we'll be playing at the Laemmle from the 6th through the 12th, and we're gonna do a 7:30 p.m. Premiere event on the 6th. There'll be another Q&A on the Saturday the 7th and potentially the 9th as well.
fantastic. And you can go to weareguardiansfilm.com. That's weareguardiansfilm.com
Yeah.
and see all of that. Well, you mentioned Puri Tempe.
Puyer Timbe. Puy.
Oh my
Puyer.
God.
I don't know, whatever's easier for you.
Puri Tempe, you mentioned. And let's talk about the work being done by the Guardians, by these people who have put themselves as the gateway to the Amazon, and that's what they're known as, and they put their lives on the line in order to protect it. Let's talk about them.
Sure. So we were very compelled when we first heard about these groups of indigenous people who went out into the forest to face the illegal loggers and invaders, and try to kick them out. It's just such a valiant story of courage. And in the Guajajara community and in the Tembe as well, so many of them have gotten murdered, and their trial, these murders never brought to justice. And so we were just struck by that and had to go and follow this story. And so that's how we came across Puyi when we were researching what types of guardian groups there are. The Tembe and Guajajara are, they're in the arc of deforestation. So the eastern part of the Amazon is the most deforested. And so their territories have standing forests where everything around it is cut down. And so people invade to do all number of things, try to hunt, get acai, get the things that they need to survive, as well as the
Yeah.
trees. And then they start fires to try to grab more land for their cattle farms. So it's very sought after areas with a high number of with a lot of violence. So we went to go and meet with them, and they brought us on a couple of I think we went on 9 missions total, and got to witness their work. And these groups are, statistically speaking, much more effective. So there's in territories with territorial monitoring groups, there is a lower instance of deforestation and illegal invasion. And so they can go and also just monitor the areas and be quickest to the scene compared to the police, and they can let the police know what's happening. But yeah, their presence is definitely helping. And yeah.
Well, and just getting to know them, in the time we spend with them, their dedication, their move to this, it's inspiring.
It
Uh,
is inspiring. I mean, I'm so inspired by the courage on display from the Guardians and they're forest people. I mean, these are cultures and communities that live in the forest and with the forest in an incredible way.
Yeah.
They really carry the wisdom of the forest. And it was an honor to be with them, to get to be in the forest with them, not always on missions. It was wonderful to go on hunting expeditions and walks with them in the forest because they were showing us their plants and they were showing us the animals and how the animals move in the forest. And they really are the wisdom keepers of the forest and the true guardians of the forest. So having, this intimate experience with them was incredible. Getting to see the huge protests in Brasilia, in the capital city of Brazil, with all of these guardian groups and all of these different cultures coming together to protest what was happening in Brazil at the time. It's incredible to see the energy and the courage or the ferocity that is present with the indigenous movement. And I think I carry that with me as far as hope and looking out into the future, because they really are guiding us and showing us what it is to be a true guardian of the earth.
I could not agree more. A powerful film, taking on an incredibly important subject, the lungs of the earth, the Amazon region, so important. And yeah, thank you for this work. Thank you for your film. We are guardians. We've been talking to two of the three co-directors of this film, and that would be Chelsea Greene and Rob Grobman, and Edivan Guajajara as well as the co-director. And thank you very much. I could mention Leo DiCaprio was part of this, as well as Fisher. Stevens has been part of your executive producing team. Just check this out. Go to weareguardiansfilm.com to find out more about it. And it's well worth your while, and you'll be inspired. And hopefully you're going to contribute money to help these people do what they've been doing. So thank you both for your time today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike. And
Thank you.
please join us at the Lemley in Santa Monica on the 6th, because we'd love to meet you and we'd love for you all to come see the film.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.